Guys, before you go into the live vlog, we'd just like to take this time to promote a book called Tales from the Pitch, or a series of books. And I was contacted by Daisy from Ransom Publishers, and they said that they're an independent publisher who specialises in literacy and books for people who don't like or struggle with reading, and they mainly sell to schools, bookshops and prisons. And they've published a series of easy-to-read, fictionalised biographies of exciting footballers, and they've called it Tales from the Pitch. Now, because it's mcfcfantv, she sent me 2 copies, and this is one of the editions, which is about Raheem Sterling. So these books, I think, are really important. I obviously I love reading myself, and I think literacy is really important. The age ranges between 7 and 14 years of age, but if you are an older person who struggles reading, they're perfect for people with dyslexia and other things that make people struggle to read as well. They're 120 pages long, and the recommended retail price is £6.99. Now, there is Van Dijk, Gnabry, Mbappe, Rashford, Kante and Lewandowski in the series, alongside Raheem Sterling. So there are other different books, whether you don't have to be a supporter of Manchester City to read them. You can read the exciting biographies, fictionalised ones about other players as well. But Daisy kindly sent me 2 copies. What we're going to do is I'm going to read one of them, and then we're going to give both of them away and to somebody who deserves it. So please, 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 all the details will be below, and you can get in touch with Ransom Publishers and order your copy online. So we wanted to do something that would assist them in pushing and promoting this book. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and we'll let you know more about when these brilliant ideas for books and for reading become available as a prize. But anyway, Sandy from mcfcfantv, take care, and we're over to the vlog.
Hi guys, Martin here, mcfcfantv, and welcome to our Sunday night edition of the Empty Seat Show with myself, Doom, and Ginger Gloom over there. How you doing, buddy?
I'm not sure how I'm doing, Martin. I'm not very happy about yesterday.
Are you not?
No.
Don't be daft. 3 points, mate. Win the game in hand, and we're 2 points off the top.
Yeah, everything's fine then. Okay.
Positive, right, mate? Tonight we have got a very special guest. Go on, give us some facts.
Well, these facts have been supplied by our special guests themselves, and I don't think there's any guessing who's going to be, but I love them. So they've never watched a single minute of Seinfeld. They enjoy listening to metal music, and they've never been to an Aussie rules game. That's 3 things I've got in common with tonight's guest.
Never been to an Aussie rules game?
Yeah.
Okay, that's quite interesting, that. So Sam Elliott says, is it Ronaldo?
We'd never have him on.
Yeah, I don't think, we're going to get him on. Noah Pearson wants to know, is it Messa?
Won't get him on either.
Paul Standell, Teatto.
Ooh, good guess, that. It's a good guess.
That is a good guess, that. Never been to an Aussie game. Heathen. I know what I mean. Guys, I want to bring in the former Manchester City player, centre-back, all the way from Australia, the one and the only, Mr. Spencer Pryor. Hello, how are you, Spencer?
It's early here. It's very early. It's still dark. It's like middle of the night. In fact, it's not really. It's like getting up at 7 in the morning. So, morning, guys.
Morning, mate. Thanks for coming on again.
Pleasure.
Join us. So before we get into it, Spencer, give us your top 3 metal bands.
Metallica, System of a Down.
Oh, yeah. That's 3 great bands, mate. 3 great bands.
Hang on. Stop.
What's that?
When did we start this metal bands bit?
Our guest likes metal.
Love metal.
three superb bands there, Martin.
I can't
You need
do
to listen
heavy
to 'em.
metal. I get a headache.
I got into it when I was at Leicester. Casey Keller kind of got us into it, and obviously he's such a big shot. He's got massive connections, so we got to go and see a load of bands, and through my mate, who he's with Live Nation now, but he was running Rock City in Nottingham.
Yeah, brilliant, mate.
There's some unbelievable bands there, unbelievable.
Sticky
System of a
Floors.
Down playing at Rock City, it was like incredible.
Yeah, it's a great venue, but it's got sticky floors in it.
Massively sticky.
Alan said, "Glad you got up."
He tried to wake me up at 6 o'clock, the clown.
He is a clown.
And says, "Hello, Spencer." And then, what are them? Are they clapping or are they chickens? No, not they are.
I think he's clapping.
Well, flapping. We'll go with that. Right, go on. So, Spencer, as we know, we've only got you for an hour because we know you have got a big conference call later. I know you got to go. It is Monday morning over in Australia for Spencer. But yeah, I want to go into the very first. Obviously, you started your career at your hometown club, Southend United. How did you actually get into football? What was it that got you there and got your interest?
I guess it's something. It's something you grow up with. Like my dad was a big football fan and used to play sort of semi-professional, I guess you call it. And then it's something you just, as a kid, you want to grow up doing that. They wouldn't get that down here in Australia, right? But as over there, it's something that you always want to do. So with it being my hometown club, I actually think my first training session I did with Southend was, I can't remember the year, but I must have been about 12 or 13, and I got introduced to go and asked to do it was like a community football thing, and it used to be the South Stand at Roots Hall used to be this massive terrace going back where the away supporters go, and then behind it was a car park, and it was in the car park with portable goals, and I remember that. I must have been about, like I said, 12. Maybe 11 or 12. And then from then it was just sort of, once I finished school, I got offered a YTS, which was basically child labour. We cleaned the terraces, we washed the kit, cleaned the boots, cleaned all the changing rooms every day. We painted the changing rooms. And sometimes we got to do a bit of football as well. And, that was 2 years. It was a great experience, great learning for me. With it being my hometown team, I'm absolutely, I'm not sad what's going on with them. I'm really angry, actually. I'm really angry the club's got into the state it's got in. I think it might have been back in about 92. We were top of the championship on New Year's Day, top of the championship. Beat Newcastle at home 4-0, went top of the championship. And you now look at the club and see the mismanagement that's gone on there. I'm really, really pissed about how, the club is being run. Ron has put a lot of his own money in, no doubt. But he sold the stadium. They've got no assets. Yeah. They're talking about building a new stadium, which is going to go through. It's just disappointing to see what's going on there.
So it is sad times for a lot of clubs, but Southend are definitely going through it as well, aren't they? So when you left Southend,
right, I'll be honest, right? I never thought that the club would get into that sort of a situation, and you're right. I mean, there's so many clubs in the EFL that are going through it, right? Yeah. But just have some good governance, and it's been running down for years and years. He ain't even got a freaking CEO.
Right.
He hasn't even got a CEO at the club, right? He's running the joint. He's running it. And then they start talking to him about football stuff.
Yeah.
Or about the club's finances. And all he wants to do is talk about the players and who's injured and who's training and, you know, what the atmosphere's like on the training pitch. Piss off. It's not your job. That's the manager's job to start talking that. Get someone in to run the club on a daily basis and run the money.
I think we don't know where we're going with COVID, do we? It's certainly not in this country. And, you know, how much longer clubs down the lower reaches are going to be able to survive like this. It's scary times for a lot of clubs. And like you say, clubs have been badly run for a long time. And this could be the thing that, you know, puts the final nail in the coffin. It's really, really sad, you know, for those local communities that, you know, for sure.
That's it. It's, you know, everyone has like, everyone loves the Premier League, right? And we all do. And you know, Man City have been down there. It was still like when it was sort of going down in League One, it was still sort of people still watching it in this diehard local club, right? So, you know, Southend's got its own fan base. They don't support West Ham.
Yeah.
They hate West Ham because it's like the big club up the road, and no one, you know, people want to be able to go and watch their local team. And you know, we've seen what's gone on with Bury. We've seen what's gone on with Macclesfield. I just pray Southend isn't next, but I don't think if Southend's next, it won't be the last.
No, not a chance, mate. And the quicker this situation sorted out, where the Premier League assists the lower league teams, the better. You know, let's not put these, you know, things into that the big clubs are going to benefit from. Let's just help the smaller clubs, because they mean something to these communities and to the fans. And you know, I can't ever imagine, you know, City going out of business and not having them in my life. So you know, how can that be for any fan of whatever team you support? You know, really sad times, I think. And you know, let's hope that something comes through so quickly.
Yeah.
So Spencer, so when after Southend you moved to Norwich, and you played in one of Norwich's most famous victories at Bayern Munich.
See, that's the second most famous victory. The most famous victory is when we beat Liverpool at Anfield on the last day of the season, which was the last ever day of the Kop being like standing. And we went there. Jerry Marsden came on and singing before the game, and they were bam. There was flags everywhere, and they were allowed to do everything. And we went in on the last day, and we turned them over. That's the most famous Norwich.
So what was that experience like?
Bayern.
Yeah, Bayern.
In the old Olympic Arena, then, wasn't it? The old one.
It was brilliant. The Olympic Stadium in Munich. And to be honest, we'd gone there and no English club had ever beaten them in that stadium, right? So we were just little old Norwich, right? But we did have some incredibly good players, you know, from Gunny in goals, who was such an athlete. You see him now, not quite the same athlete, but... Gunny in goals, and you had senior, like real super senior players like Mark Bowen and Ian Crook and Ian Culverhouse, and then throw in the mix some really, really top class youngsters like Chris Sutton.
Yeah, it was real Fox as well.
And everyone remembers Gossie's goal. Everyone remembers the volley, right? It was the most incredible 20 minutes at the start of the game when we got the 2 goals. And then we relied on Gunny to get us out of the shit and play bacon. And he was world class that day. And it was a good experience, great experience.
Brilliant. And then you drew in the second leg and went through. Yeah. It's fantastic. If you know,
I didn't play in the second leg. Because Mike Walker had a thing that when we went away and we played in those games, we often played a back 3, which meant that I got in the team and Gary Megson got put on the sideline.
Yeah.
Neggy hated me for that. He always seemed to hold that against me. But yeah, that's how I kind of got to playing those games. So
brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. And your final season there, you were Player of the Year, weren't you?
I did. I don't know whether that was by default because we were pretty crap that year, but yeah, I did. Yeah. And I still treasure that. Yeah, it's nice to get acknowledged by the supporters. It really is. Martin O'Neill was manager at the start of the season, and he came in with a completely different approach in terms of how he wanted things done. His man management, I really liked it. Some players didn't. And I enjoyed playing under him. And obviously he left just before the end of the season. So for me to have a little bit of momentum and keep that going for the rest of the season was something that I think I'm pretty proud of. I loved playing for that club. It was great. We had a great time there as a family. We got married in Norwich. First daughter was born there. It was a massive step for me to go from little old Southend United to a club that had such a successful Premier League campaign. So
Norwich were a decent team back then. Let me tell our viewers who don't know back then. They, qualified for Europe the year you joined, didn't they? So they were, towards the top of the league for quite a little bit of while there.
Yeah,
they were a decent team.
Norwich and Villa challenging it out at one stage.
That's it. That was the season. Yeah, I joined after that season.
Yeah, so the Norwich weren't the team that they are now. They were actually a very good team, So you went to Leicester after that, then.
Yeah.
Back with Martin O'Neill. Tell us a little bit about Martin O'Neill, because from an outsider, he seems like a bit of a head case.
No, he's not actually. He's so articulate. I mean, the guy is like proper articulate. Very, very, very smart man. Doesn't coach a lot, actually. Hardly coaches at all. Steve Walford does a lot of the coaching. Right. Martin will just come out. So I signed in the week. Like, to be honest, as the season had finished, right, Leicester were in the playoffs against Palace, I think it might have been, and I'd already had a good contact with them that they said if they got up to the Premier League, they were going to take me in.
Yeah. And
I was watching that. Steve Claridge scored the winner in the last minute, and then it all went a bit quiet. And I'm sort of holding out, waiting to see what was going on, thinking I was going to go back to Norwich for pre-season, even though I was out of contract. Norwich still said there's something here for you if you want to stay. But I really wanted to go and test myself back in the Premier League, and particularly with Martin, I really enjoyed playing for him. And then it was literally in the week before we played Sunderland away at Roker Park, the first game of the season. It got done. Me and Casey Keller signed on the same day. Both went in straight in. Didn't even get training sessions. It was literally bang, in you go, thrown in, playing, marking Mick Harford, first game of the season, and getting beaten up by Mick.
I'm sure you weren't the only one.
But it was, he didn't do much of the coaching at all. Wally took everything, apart from when Martin used to come out halfway through the middle of a training session and then go to us, all here. Right, you got that, see that goal there, and then that goal there. You run round that one, back into me, you got 40 seconds. If you're not all in, you'll go again. So we do it, and he goes, right, run around that goal and back into me. You got 15 seconds. So he'd flog us for about maybe 30 minutes of running, sprints, and then go back in, walk in. And we're only halfway through the training session and we're absolutely gassed. Steve Walford goes, oh, cheers for that, like you've just killed my session. But tactically on a match day to set a team up to win, he was outstanding. Yeah. He put the onus on the players to know their opponent, their individual opponent. So you focused on winning your individual battles, and he'd back you to the hill. He would back you to the hill. And even if you've messed up and you've made mistakes, he wouldn't dig you out in public at all. He'd back you, he'd back the team. He'd take all the flack. And we really respected him for that.
Yeah, he's a great manager, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I did want him at City at some stage. I did. I think it was might have been back for the Leicester time. But I wanted to talk about Leicester.
Yeah.
I'm going to take you right back now, Spencer, to that League Cup winners run. You know, you did something we couldn't do in the 90s. You beat York City. We couldn't do that on your run. You beat Man United. And it was I think once at the year when Middlesbrough and Stockport had that famous semi-final at the Swamp.
Yeah.
And basically, because I know you played the first one at Wembley against Middlesbrough in the League Cup final, drew one each. You got booked in that one, I noticed. And then you got booked in the replay as well. So you did your job. But I wanted to ask, the replay at Hillsborough, did it take a shine off the actual final itself?
No, not one bit. I thought the atmosphere was better.
No.
I thought the atmosphere at Hillsborough was incredible. It's a really, I love that football stadium. It's proper football stadium, right on top of you. No, the atmosphere was amazing that night. And whether you're playing at Wembley or whether you're playing at Hillsborough or at Roots Hall, it's just a stadium. It's just a game. Yeah. And you don't focus on the occasion as players. I know from a fan base you want to win. You'd love to win in at Wembley, and you'd love to. But as a player, it's a game, and it's a job, and it's another day at the office. And you know, whether you win it at Hillsborough, whether you win it at Stockport or Bramall Lane, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's winning games. That's what it was about. No, didn't take the shine off at all. We still celebrated just as much as we would have.
I mean, I remember watching that. I mean, guess question: did Claridge ever tuck his shirt in?
No, he was the scrappiest. Naturally, I love Steve, but he was the way that he looked on the pitch was the reflection of him as a bloke. You should have seen his car, because he used to commute quite a lot. His car was full of like McDonald's, like wrappers and chip things, and and it was everywhere. He just lived in his car virtually.
Sounds like Martin.
That was the man. But talk about we don't have many of those true, like, real number 9 poachers that he was. I mean, he was such a poacher.
Well, Leicester had a good team then, though, didn't they? You know, Muzzy's it and Stevie Walsh and players like that. They had a decent team.
We were a team of misfits, really. You know, Muzzy came from West Ham. Rob Savage come from Man United, or Crewe. He come from Crewe. Yeah. Right? Let's not put it. Sav come from Man United, because he didn't. Yeah. You know, he keeps talking he was from Man United, but he come from Crewe. So Lenny come from Crewe.
Yeah.
Matt Elliott come from Oxford.
Yeah, I remember him playing for Oxford against us.
There was a team of misfits, really, that were kind of thrown in, where the gaffer saw potential and knew what he wanted to get out of us, and it gelled. We kind of gelled. We worked hard for each other. We played as hard as we worked, and it was good environment, good culture, good team.
Yeah.
Was you still there when Stan turned up for his cameo? Or have you got to Derby by then?
I've gone by then. I actually played with Stan at Southend.
Right.
So I played with him. We played with him at Southend when he came out of Crystal Palace. He was in a bit of a mess at the time. It's personal stuff to do with family, and the club gave him so much sort of leeway to fix up and make sure that he was all right at home, and that came first. And then he turned up on Thursday. We trained Thursday, Friday, play Saturday, and then we wouldn't see him until the following Thursday. And that was the real introduction before he then got to move to Forest. What a player! Seriously, I mean, he was frightening.
Yeah,
so much power, speed. I've never seen anyone be able to hit the ball so hard either.
I've got to admit, I thought him and Brian Roy, what a partnership.
Yeah.
What an absolute partnership, those two together. And yes, I'm showing my age now. I can't pretend I'm 21 anymore.
You weren't kidding anyone anyway.
Well, I was. Go on, I'll let you move on, Mr. Gloom in the car.
All right, we need to get to see it at some point. So just, how was your time at Derby?
I loved it there. From a professional perspective, in terms of how a club is run, it was the best I'd ever seen. We were actually the guinea pigs for Prozone, believe it or not, because we used to go into this porter cabin before training, and everyone had these individual like lazy boy chairs with massages, and then we had a big projector at the front, and they used to. So pre-activation stuff we used to do in the massage chairs. Everyone had their own program, and then while we're getting a lovely little massage and getting ready for training, Jim Smith would do a team talk, or we'd have Bill Bezic doing sports science and psychology stuff with us. The staff were incredible. Steve McLaren was the best coach I've ever worked with, bar none. Unbelievably great coach, great football brain. Him and Steve Round were phenomenal as a combination of coaches. Jim was a lunatic, and they kept him away from training until sort of Thursday, which was Jim's day on the BBG. And then we were successful. I think we finished 7th or 8th in the Premier League. It was really good, great season. And to be fair, it was probably... I played 32 games that year in the Premier League. I think I only missed a couple. It was my most consistent season, probably because of the stuff that helped off the pitch as well. And then the following season, I was going all right. I was really enjoying it. Loved the club, and I then went to see Jim Smith and said, I feel I'm doing all right. And he's like, yeah, you are. You're going all right. I don't know whether to give you a big fat contract and tie you down for a while or sell you. I'm like, what are you on about? Sell me? And I had no idea that the club at the time were in a bit of financial doo-doo. So it was sort of, why are they going to sell me? And that's when Man City came into the mix. I then found out that they'd put in an offer. And what had happened was, so all the coaching staff used to meet at Derby regularly, and they used to go, right, we're in the shit. We were struggling at the time. We're in the shit. Let's look at different attributes of players, and we're going to mark them all out of 10. So we're going to look at physical, mental, and tactical. And we'll mark them all out of 10, and then see where people are at. And I was up the top. Like, there were bigger players than me. There were much more superstar players than me. But in terms of mental resilience, I thought I was pretty strong. I could handle pressure and the environment. So I was up the top. So one morning, Jim Smith goes, yeah, cool, Spencer, I've got an offer. I'm going to sell him. The staff are like, what are you doing? We've just done this thing, and now we're going to get out of this relegation battle. you want to sell him? He said, I need the money. You know, we got to balance the books. So Bill Bezic is a Man City supporter, right? He worked for Man United for a while, but he's a Man City supporter. And I said to him, Bill, you got to get me. You got to get me out. You got to get Jim to accept and get me to go. So he's like, mate, I want you there. I want you to get the deal. So it kind of happened, and you know, you always want to be at a club where you're valued and feel like you wanted and playing. And at the time, like I said, I loved it at Derby, but you know, the chance to go to Man City was something I couldn't turn down.
Yeah, I've got no qualms with you joining us whatsoever. I thought you were great. Thought you were absolutely great. So
what were your first impressions when you got to City after leaving this ultra professional Derby County?
Hang on, whoa, we weren't that bad just because he got a minibus to the stadium.
I've seen some stuff I've seen some stuff like on Twitter with Andy Morrison, and he was talking about Bish and saying how, you know,
I've seen that, yeah.
How Bish was the best player, that he's ever played with, but that when Andy joined, the culture that he joined was going in, and it was an environment that Joe Royal had created that was so tight knit that they went and fought for each other. I joined that was so cemented. So cemented. That was the foundation of the success of the club at the time. Was the togetherness to fight for each other in the trenches, and you know, I'd experienced that at Leicester. So it wasn't a culture shock to go back to that. For me, it wasn't, and you know, the club was on a successful run. The results were going super well. And you know, I think there may be 9 or 10 games left of the season when I joined. And it was for some reason, it was good to join a team that was winning rather than the battle that we were having with Derby, which was a relegation battle. It's very, very different mentally, but we approached every game like we thought we were going to win. We didn't go into it overconfident and know we were going to win, but you know, we had a couple of draws along the way in those games, but we managed to get up, which was great.
Yeah. You did at Blackburn, which you know we've spoke about before. I mean, I'm thinking I asked this last time, and I'm going to ask it again. I know it was a crazy game, and I remember you saying you couldn't remember much about it, believe it or not, into one of them games. But what was it like to look out afterwards and see 20,000+ City fans at an away game? This wasn't at Main Road. This was away, and 20,000 Blues are on the pitch. That must have been mad.
Yeah, and it was only after the game that you kind of, you know, it was only after we actually scored that you realised how many we had in the stadium. And then I don't think I'd ever played in a game where the result was so different to the performance. Like we were shit that day. We were so bad, apart from 20 minutes towards the end where we just went bosh and dominated. I think once we knocked the wind out of their sails and, you know, got on top of it, got a goal and realised what we could achieve, I think that just knocked the stuffing out of Blackburn, and then the fans could start to party in the terraces. And
the woodwork was our friend, wasn't it, that day?
Oh my God, it was insane.
It was the rest of his face. He was like, "What is going on here?" I think it was when Matt Jansen had hit the post for like the 100th time. What's going on here?
Yeah, it was. You know, but Joe wasn't flustered. We got annihilated. We were awful. And at the half time, Joe was really calm, relaxed. We kind of knew what we needed to do. We had good senior players at the time, so we knew what we needed to do to get a result. We just kind of hoped it happened rather than knowing what would happen. And somehow we grinded it out. Somehow.
Yeah.
You got any special memories that you can share with us at time at City?
That game obviously is the highlight, without any doubt. That game was really special. I think having played in Manchester derbies, I think is another great, to look back and reflect and say I've actually played in a couple of Manchester derbies is something. Particularly at Main Road, to have played there. I know we lost the game. Fucking hell. How did we like? Do you know what? That game we lost, where Beckham scored a great free kick, right?
In like the 3rd minute, it killed the game.
Yeah, but we had a chat. We were talking all week about set pieces and free kicks from that far out. We ain't going to put a wall up. Don't put a wall up, because if we put a wall up, Weaves can't see it, right? And I don't even know if we put a wall up, but
no, you never.
Yeah, there was a wall up.
Was there? I don't think it was, Martin.
There was a 2-man wall up. I don't know why.
Oh, well, there you go. He just boshed it in like he does, and it was like, oh, well, there you go. And
it killed the stadium.
The atmosphere playing the Manchester derby at Main Road was great. And then obviously we got a draw at Old Trafford, which Steve Alves scored. It was good. I love playing in those sort of games. That's what it's about. The rivalry and the competitiveness.
Who was your toughest opponent you ever played against?
Ever?
Yeah.
Oh man, I hated playing. So different sort of things, but I hated playing against Alan Shearer because he was spiteful. Like, he was actually spiteful, and he never gave you a minute's rest.
Yeah.
He would leave his foot in, and he would throw the odd arm. I won't say away. Throw the odd arm.
Neil Lennon can tell you that.
Yeah, he used to have this thing. He jumped across you, so you never saw him coming.
Yeah.
Dennis Bergkamp was the hardest because he was so skinny, like, and small, but man, he was strong.
Yeah.
And he used to, if you kicked him, he would be spiteful and nasty and give it back. But also, from a technical perspective, you think you've got him, and you're marking him, but he'd be gone. He'd just get himself into great little pockets on the pitch, and everyone knows his technical ability. So,
special player.
If he only needed half a yard on you, and then that gave him a world of time to do whatever he wanted to do.
Spencer's making excuses now because we got absolutely battered at Highbury. If anyone remembers that year, we got absolutely annihilated.
Yeah,
it wasn't not unusual, was it?
No.
We always got.
They had then. Thierry Henry playing as well. You got the quickest player I've ever played against.
Yeah.
Over Mars, and
they were great team.
Perez, they had Lundberg, they had Henry. That was some team, though, wasn't it? That was some Arsenal team.
Patrick Vieira.
Yeah. An unbelievable attacking force, right? Yeah. Really amazing attacking force.
Yeah. What's it like playing against somebody with that Henry's pace, Spencer? That must be a nightmare.
You just let him go by.
Yes, it was. I was kind of signed because I was reasonably quick. I was seen as being quick.
Yeah.
However, as I got older, it sort of left me, which it does.
Yeah.
And then you try and use your football brain to counteract that. But my football brain ain't the same as like someone with a good football brain that can get themselves into positions where, my speed used to be able to get me out of trouble. He is so rapid. so rapid. But it was football. We talk about football sprints, and it's like 10 meters, 20 meters. It's not like longer than that, and it's that explosive speed that he had that was insane.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do, I'm going to finish on your career on the Cardiff bit. So I've got a question that I want to ask that I forgot to ask last time, and then we're going to move on to City today and get your opinion. So I know we've only got 20 more minutes, and then I know Chris up there is dying to get onto your thoughts on Manchester City at the moment. He's absolutely dying to do it. Cardiff City.
Yeah.
You didn't get on with their fans, apparently, did you? Now, apparently, you're famous at saying you think it's because you were English. What happened? What was going on?
So I joined the club, and I am very, very proud of my English heritage, right?
Yeah.
The Queen Mum had died. Queen Mum died, and whatever the relationship between the Welsh and English, when there was a minute's silence, and during that, the fans behind the goal were singing, "You can stick the royal family up your ass." I didn't like that. So the referee cut the minute's silence short, and I acknowledged the supporters in a way that showed my disapproval.
And it didn't go down well.
Well, like, have a bit of respect. Just be a bit respectful. And I don't care about this English v the Welsh stuff. I'm just like, be a bit respectful, and someone like the Queen Mum dies, it was a big time in the country.
Definitely.
So there was that, and then I'm sorry, there was all petty shit going on where they were like, so on the back of the flag, on the back of the jersey, you had a Welsh flag on the back of the shirt, right? A little tiny flag, and mine was coming off. And they're going, he's scratching his Welsh flag off. I'm like, and I wasn't. I genuinely didn't touch it, right? So there was all this stuff that was going on off the pitch. I'll be honest, on the pitch, the first season, I wasn't great. I had a mixed season. I had some good performances, but in with some right dodgy stuff as well. And it wasn't a good finish to the season for me. I think, we got to the playoffs and we missed out because we lost to Stoke. Then the next season, it was like, that ain't happening again. So, we got to the playoffs again the following season, and we actually got promoted at the Millennium Stadium. And to be fair, that was what I was brought in to do, was to get the club up. I'm disappointed that at my own personal performances at the back end of the season in defined big moments. In the first season, I was disappointed with that. And then in the second season, when we got promoted, I felt I did what I was brought in to do. And that was it. And that was it. That was my relationship with Cardiff. I did my job. I went in. I got done what I needed to do. I got paid to go and do a job, and I did it. And then I left. And I left really. I left not bitter at Cardiff or the minority of fans. There was a lot of good people down there, but it was a time that was done, and I was actually I'd had enough of football at that stage. I'd had enough. It was, if you don't go onto a pitch, to get booed by your own supporters.
No.
And I actually came out publicly and said, I'll take it. I can handle that. But they've got to be mindful if they did that with someone younger, it could break them.
Yeah,
It could really break them, and I could handle it, but you know, so I was like, now I'm done. I've had enough. I don't need that in my life. You know, I don't come to your workplace and boo you. And you know, your own supporters are supposed to get behind you, and the whole relationship goes back to that defining 1 minute silence that they couldn't show respect. And you know what? If that's how they wanted to be and they didn't want to respect a minute, then they get the same back from me.
Yeah.
And it was a minority, I will add that.
So how did you end up in Australia then, Spence? Let's move it on a bit.
I finished. I went back to Southend. I got a slip to go back there, and actually it was actually Phil Parkinson who said, "Don't pack in playing yet. Come down to Colchester." And then once Colchester found out I might go back there or go there, Southend were like, "Oh, hang on, you can't go to there." It's like that's how big it's marvel. So I went back to Southend for 3 years. Thought we'd go back home, move home. You know, oh lovely, go back and it'll be great. Family, you'll be around every week and we'll catch up with mates and it's lovely to go and it'll be this utopia. We bought a house back there and then we went back home and went, oh, this is crap. You know, it's not really what we thought it was going to be. So it's got to be more. There's got to be something else. And we got drunk with my mate one night. I think the girls came and we had between the boys, we had a case of Stella and a bottle of Jägermeister. And then when Australia sounds good, and within the next week, the missus had booked a flight with her mate to come over and do a little recce and fell in love with it. Fell in love. So explored it a little bit more. She then came back out again. This is while I'm still playing at Southend. She came back out again. Started looking at schools and looking at different things over here where we really wanted to be. And then explored getting a visa, and we got a 4-year state-sponsored working visa, and that's it. Made the move. No job, no schools for the kids all set up. Yeah, it was a big
brave
move.
new world. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was a big step to make at that time. You know, but I moved out a week after I retired with Southend, and the rest is history.
Live for Ireland.
14 years later.
Yeah. And so you've been doing coaching over there, haven't you? And I see that you actually managed the Thai women's football team.
Yeah. So I started, one of the first jobs I really got was to work with the Matildas, the Australian women's national team. And I was doing my A license here at the time. And Robbie Hooker, who was the assistant coach for the Matildas, he went with the Socceroos, with the men's team, with Holger Ozick at the time. So he got to go with Holger, which left a gap at the women's team. And it was 2011 and they were going to the World Cup in Germany. And they said to me, do you fancy joining? Do you want to come and go and work with Tommy? And I was like, I'm all up for a World Cup. You know, men's football, women's football, it didn't really matter to me. It's football. Yeah. I never envisaged that I would go that path of working with women's football. But I went in and the players were great. They worked hard. Tommy was great, a great manager to sort of learn my coaching under, and I really sort of enjoyed working with that group. I was assistant there and I was head coach of the 20s at the time, the under 20s. It was a good time. And after that, I then did some other bits and pieces around, and then out of the blue, coaching's weird here, right? There's very, very few full-time jobs. And when I say full-time as in it pays enough money to be able to live.
To live on it.
Oh, there's not many. So generally you work 2 or 3 jobs. You know, you might do a private school, you might do a club, you might do an academy, you might do different bits and pieces, and you're changing your T-shirts 3 times in a day. I don't know what it's like in the UK. I mean, we see full-time jobs, but they ain't full-time jobs, let's be honest, right? So we I was mooching around doing these 2 or 3 jobs. And then the Thailand thing came out of the blue. Do you fancy going taking Thailand and being the head coach there? So I went over. The plan was to get them to qualify for a World Cup. That was by being successful at that Asian Cup, which is the qualifiers. So I went in and they said, right, the first thing you got to do is pick a team. We're going to China. I said, oh, right. Where are the players? He said, we ain't seen the players for 9 months. Like, what about? He said, we ain't kicked a ball for 9 months. And this was after the World Cup in 2011. I said, what do you mean? Or after 2015, sorry, in Canada. I said, what do you mean you ain't kicked a ball for 9 months? He said, no, we ain't seen them. We ain't had the budget, but we've got it now. Pick a team, go to China. So I picked a team. I don't know who I was picking. I didn't even clue. I said, look, you pick it and I'll take it, right?
Can you imagine in his face? She looks all right.
You pick it, I'll take it. The first game we lost 9-0. And then the second game we lost 3-0.
So you improved.
Man, the 9-0 was just like such an eye-opener. The players were gassed. They were so gassed. And then the second game, like, I've got a way I want to play, but there's no way we could play that way with the players that not with the players we had, but with the physical state that they were in. So we lost 3-0. Then we went to another tournament, and I knew I had to win it. Otherwise, I would get punted. And we actually managed to win on penalties. So I bought myself some time. And then we started the real stuff, which was getting the players physically and mentally away from being ties.
Yeah.
You know, but respecting the culture, but making them footballers. They're so lovely.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wanted them to fight and I wanted them to get physically strong. And we were working really hard on good program in place. We had the girls in full time. We played boys on a Friday night. Every week, we play under 14s 1 week, under 16s and get smashed. But when we play 14s, and we probably get beat at the start, but then by the as it's evolving, we will beat them. Yeah. And you could see the things were happening. And then we went to a tournament called the Asiana Games or something. I'm like, where's this come from? This was thrown into the calendar, and I didn't even have a clue. So take the Rezzies, take the second team. Because we've got maybe 14 players, we need to close the gap. So we need other players to get good experience. He says, you can't do that. You've got to win this. I'm like, yeah, but we're so close to the Asian Cup. I want more players. I need more players with more minutes. You got to go and take the first team. Oh, no. Anyway, we came second, and we go back to Thailand, and I'm all like, go back to meet the technical director and say, you know, okay, cool, right. Now we're planning for the Asian Cup. So I've got, this is the program. This is the next 8 months of the calendar. This is to get to the Asian Cup. Good. Really love it. Love your stuff, mate. Love it. But I've got to sack you. What are you on about? He says, look, someone's got to be the fall guy for what's gone on. It ain't going to be me. This is the TV. It ain't going to be me. It isn't going to be one of the board members who was running women's football. It ain't going to be her. It ain't going to be me. So it's got to be you. I'm like, well, I've got to be honest. And from my own, I took my eye off the ball in that tournament, to be honest. And I played some players that I probably shouldn't have played. And yeah, we come runners up. But that shows, you know, it's a result business. Yeah. So it's what it is.
A good experience, though. Great experience. Yeah.
Great. And you know what? I've been back to Thailand since. And to be fair, the woman who sacked me, she owned a club in the men's Thai Premier League called Port FC. And back in the middle of last year, she asked me, the team was struggling, and I was still talking to her and her husband, and the team was struggling. They said, look, we need your help. Can you come over and help the coach? He lost like 5 games. Can you come and help the coach? can you come in as like a technical director, sort out, we're not professional. We need to get the training sorted. The coach needs to set the team up better. We need the players to work better. So yeah, I'll come and help. And I quit my job that I had back here. I quit my job to go over and help. And 2 weeks in, she sacked the coach, brought a new one in, put me on gardening leave, because the new coach who come in said, I want to run the show. So, and in those 2 weeks, I was commuting back and forwards because I work in recruitment now, right? So I got a proper job. I was working my notice period. So the day that I arrived officially to start my job, I was put on gardening leave, and I was there for doing nothing, like literally doing nothing. It was a nonsense. It was an absolute nonsense. And yeah, I finished up sort of coming back. That's it. So that's the journey.
Well, what we're going to do now, Spencer, we're going to go into our super chats.
Yeah, cool.
Some of our comments, and some of them are on Manchester City right now. So the first one is from Ander. Thank you. Says, questions, what is City missing right now? And also, do you think there should be any changes to women's football right now?
Is that 2 questions, huh? Right. Yeah. So what is City missing in the men's? They're missing consistency. It's no good being brilliant and world-class one game if you back that up with mediocrity that doesn't get wins. Even at this stage of the season, I mean, I've never seen the Premier League start so mixed.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's bizarre, right? And there's such an opportunity for a team to have, I don't want to say one of the bigger teams, but realistically, if we're looking at the teams we would expect to be challenging for Champions League, I've never seen such an inconsistent start from all the teams. And I would have loved a bit more consistency from Man City to back up the European performance with a really good league performance.
Yeah, I think if we took our chances, it might be a different story, Spence. But there's something not quite right. And whether it's that they're shattered, maybe because they've had a lot of football in this since coming back from lockdown, I don't know. But they don't look the same team that they were this time last year. So let's say that. Yeah.
With regards to the second part of the question, I think the women's game in the UK is gone next level. It's really, they put some money in it. It's getting a lot of media coverage, mainstream TV, or the TV's picking it up. With Man City, it's great seeing Gaz Taylor getting the job. I'm really, really pleased for him. He's come through the ranks and done the academy sides, and now he's got the women's team.
He's under a bit of pressure, though. Under a little bit of pressure at the minute. Under a little bit of pressure at the minute is Mr.
Yeah, well, it's the expectations are high there, right? And, under Nick Cushing, the club was so successful.
Yeah.
As the first coach, the club was so dominant and so successful. The challenge with being successful was, at the time, Man City were really the only club doing it properly and putting money in. But now the other clubs have seen that and they're starting to catch up. So Arsenal, we're under Joe Montenegro. Joe is an exceptional Australian coach. Sets the team up really well. Got a good budget. Great training facility. Made some really impressive signings. So he's spending money and he's going strong. Chelsea, obviously, under Emma Hayes, are going fantastic and signed some great players as well. You look at the mob down the road that are trying to catch up. Yeah. And the game's getting more competitive, and it's not such an easy ride under, as it was for Man City under Nick. And you're right, the pressure's on, but it is if you're coaching arguably one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the country, the expectations are going to be high. And results. It's not a development program. It's not development. It's about winning games and setting teams up to win games. And I back Gaz. I think he'll be a great manager. I think he's a good appointment for the team and keeps consistency within the club. Gavin Michaels runs a really, really good program. And, the club will expect results, but they will back their managers. And they've done that for years with Nick, and they'll do it with Gaz. So, it's great seeing what's going on over there with regards to the women's game. Really good.
Good. Next question. Again, Amanda. Why does Alan Howan have a Sir before his name? And keep this clean, please. What are your thoughts on Alan?
Self-proclaimed, sir. Self-proclaimed.
For anyone who doesn't know, Spencer and Alan know each other in Australia.
I don't think anyone else. It's a self nicknamed Sir, which, being from a dodgy part of Manchester, which I'm pretty sure he is from, I'm not sure he can call himself Sir. In terms of fanatic fans, he's very, very, very passionate, right? And I've loved knowing him for the years I've known him now. The guy's struggling a little bit at the moment. He can't get out his house. So Melbourne are in lockdown. All I say is I think that's probably made him a little bit more annoying on social media and stuff.
A little bit. Just a
little bit. Like he goes all wobbly every now and again. We see his political bias coming out every now and again, which he just needs to tone it down a little bit. But as a Sir, I think he feels he's got this entitlement to self-proclaim, how everybody else is doing things wrong. But he's a great man.
He is, and we love him here on the channel. Andy Blue Moon, who was the joker in the dressing room during your time at City?
Oh, we had a team of them. We had a team of them from Mark Kennedy and Nicky Weaver, Danny Tiato, Jeff Whitley. Bish was the sneaky one. Bish was the sneaky joker, right? He was like the old school experience one that, great banter. But I would say definitely the pair of them together, Jim and Mark Kennedy, Jim Whitley and Mark Kennedy were brutal as a pair.
I could see that. Sean Fogarty wants to know, what are your opinions of Riyad Mahrez, who is becoming a fan favourite over here at Manchester?
Look, I'm not sure he's met his potential. I'm being diplomatic here. I don't think he's met his potential. I think the expectations from when he came from Leicester, but it's getting consistent game time. I think that's part of the problem. It's consistency. And he epitomises what I see with Man City at the moment. It's consistency, whether it's individually or collectively. I think when he's on song, he's brilliant, and you can see why Man City signed him. But when you see him, sometimes you don't see him. That's part of the thing. You don't see him.
Yeah,
and.
You know yourself what City fans are like. They want the sweat and the shirt. They want 100% all game. You know that yourself.
But that's gone. That era is gone. That era is gone. And players now, it's a different game. It really is. The attitudes of players is completely different now, and the mentality is different.
Possibly, yeah. No, I could actually get on board with that one. Sean again. What do you think of football's bigger picture?
I don't like this talk about breakaway Super Leagues. I really don't like that. I don't want the game to change in that regard. I want to see the Premier League clubs starting to support the lower clubs, however that looks. I don't like the model that was brought up by a couple of clubs that they try to push through. I'd still I'd love an environment still where we can support 92 clubs, right? And we talked about it earlier. We talked about the community and the responsibility that football clubs have in terms of providing for the community. I don't just want to talk about Man City, but Man City is a community club. You've seen what the guys have come in and the development that they've actually put in place around the stadium gives back to the community. I want to see more clubs being able to facilitate and do that. I think we're in for still a bit more doom and gloom, maybe a bit. I think we're going to potentially lose some clubs, and it's a real disappointing, challenging time. Being away from there, it's hard to really see the magnitude and understand the gravity of it. But we'll come through it. And I just hope that even if the clubs do get a bit of a reality check, that they can come back in whatever form it is. You know, we saw Wimbledon do it, and I hope that all other clubs that sort of struggle and might disappear, we see them sort of maintain their community stuff in some way.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So let's look. It's getting towards 5-2. So I don't want to get you in trouble.
I got a big meeting, big week.
Mate, but Andy just says we're going to end it on this. Brilliant interview. Thanks, Spencer, for taking the time to chat to these two miserable. So
yeah, look, it's good talking to you guys. Stay safe. It is challenging over there. If you're in trouble, if you're having a hard time, pick up the phone, talk to someone. Seriously, pick up the phone. It's we've all got to help each other out, and we've all got to be getting through this together. Yeah, it's hard, right? So enjoy watching your football. Stay safe first and foremost, but then pick up the phone if you're having a hard time.
Great advice, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, Spencer.
Thank you very much,
you guys.
Appreciate it.
Take
care, mate.
See ya.
See you, buddy.
Guys, that was Spencer Pryor on the Empty Seat Show on this Sunday's edition. Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who's come in with super chats and comments. I'm sorry we couldn't get to questions sooner. We're on a little bit of a time schedule today, but things will be back to normal next week. We will be live. It will always now be after 8:30. I promise you that now. Sorry, it was a little bit early due to the time constraints that were under. But Spencer Pryor, absolutely super. I'm just going to go into some of yours. Don't say that to Martin. Funny man, him. Doom and Gloom smashed it again. Top stream, top guest. Thank you, Spencer, too. Yeah, absolutely great. Thank you very much, Andy. Guys, I will be back now on Tuesday with the live watch-along. Marseille versus Manchester City. Is it 8 o'clock kickoff?
Yeah, I think it is, right?
Is it 8 o'clock? It is, isn't it? Actually, before we go.
Oh, Leicester have taken the lead.
Oh, no, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, go on, mate. Yeah.
Because I've not spoke to you about it yet. Your thoughts on Saturday. Well, I have, but tell us your thoughts on Saturday.
I thought it was a pretty disappointing performance, mate. All in all, there's a lot of things that are concerning me at the minute, but probably the most out of it all is Riyad Mahrez. I don't understand how he's starting a game for us when we've got people like Phil Foden and Ferran Torres on the bench. If he's not my favourite player, but he's obviously badly out of form, and I think that give him some bench time, let him rest, and give these other players a chance. I'm worried that Riyad seems to be undroppable at the minute. A bit like what he's like with Gundogan as well. When Gundogan's fit, he always seems to play. I don't think Gundogan and Rodri work well together well.
Yeah.
I'm very worried now. Sergio's injured and we got Jesus out as well. There's a few concerns. The back line looks all right. It's the chances we're missing. Sterling again. You know, a great player Sterling is, mate, but he's not a centre forward. So, yeah, I think they're quite concerning times, mate. We're not talking about anything dramatic here, but I think we're struggling to win the league this season, if I'm perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, well, I think we'll be all right. If we win the game in hand, we're 2 points off the top. Come on, let's be positive.
I can see what's in front of me, Martin. This is not the City of old, mate.
What? Where have you got that? Oh, right. Sorry, you kid. Oh, I thought you meant actually in front of you. I thought you meant. I get you now. You were talking literal. Right, I get you.
You're right.
Forget it. Thanks, Martin. Stop again. Have a great evening, all. Yes, good stream. I'm in isolation. Hiya, Sean, please look after yourself. And like Spence said, don't stay in silence. Pick up a phone. Have a chat to a family or friend. Most enjoyable session tonight. Thank you, Eddie. Agree, Chris. Hang on, I thought you were Mr. Positive the other night and everything was all right. Now you're agreeing with him. Mahrez considering PSG or Marseille switch. Why have we accepted an offer for him? How can Mahrez be considered any switch when we haven't agreed a fee with anyone? All right. Have a great evening, boys. Thank you to the show.
You told us Koulibaly was coming, and now you're having to go with somebody. You're unbelievable, you are, mate.
Good show, boys. Alan, thank you so much.
Cheers, Al.
Told you, going to be a mad season this year. It is. Yeah. Mahrez is part of Pep's threesome at home. Sterling and Mahrez are awful. Biggest concern was why Pep brought on Zinchenko with 10 minutes left on the bench. Yeah, it is. It is a bit frightening, that one. No, about Mahrez, right? I get you now. Mahrez said it was fake. He's the Trump.
He certainly does smell.
Have a great night. Yes, thank you. Big thank you to Mr. Baker. Been an absolute treat this evening having a chat with, former Manchester City player Spencer Pryor. Guys, I'll be back on Tuesday with a watch along. Marseille against City. We will be live from 7:45 on Tuesday. Get that into your diaries. Also, you may see going across the stream, we are obviously now helping out or promoting Ransom Books that Sean has got. We sent one off. Me and Chris have got one as well. But guys, they are definitely worth a read. Go over to Ransom Books and have a look. Order them from Daisy. And also, anyone who orders a book from mcfcfantv, if they enter the code mcftv10, they will get 10% off their order. What more can you want? Help. These are great books for anyone who doesn't like reading or someone who finds reading difficult. Go over and give that a watch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end on Andy's video, so you've got the details again from Daisy and Ransom Books, and again MCFTV10 for 10% off your order. Guys, we'll see you. I will see you Tuesday. Chris may come back Tuesday. We don't know. You'll have to see. Why are you looking at me like that? But Christopher Will is definitely next week for the next edition of the Empty Seat Show. Come and join us around about 8:30, 8:45, and see who is in the empty seat. But thank you all for viewing. You've been tremendous. Have a great, great week. And as always, up the Blues. I'm going to leave you with the football guru himself. See you later.
Hi guys. Before you go into the live vlog, we'd just like to take this time to promote a book called Tales from the Pitch, or a series of books. And I was contacted by Daisy from Ransom Publishers, and they said that they're an independent publisher who specialises in literacy and books for people who don't like or struggle with reading, and they mainly sell to schools, bookshops and prisons. And they published a series of easy-to-read, fictionalised biographies of exciting footballers, and they've called it Tales from the Pitch. Now, because it's mcfcfantv, she sent me 2 copies, and this is one of the editions, which is about Raheem Sterling. So these books, I think, are really important. I obviously believe, I love reading myself, and I think literacy is really important. The age range is between 7 and 14 years of age, but if you are an older person who struggles reading, they're perfect for people with dyslexia and other things that make people struggle to read as well. They're 120 pages long, and the recommended retail price is £6.99. Now, there is Van Dijk, Gnabry, Mbappe, Rashford, Kante and Lewandowski in the series alongside Raheem Sterling. So there are other different books, whether you don't have to be a supporter of Manchester City to read them. You can read the exciting biographies, fictionalised ones about other players as well. But Daisy kindly sent me 2 copies. What we're going to do is I'm going to read one of them, and then we're going to give both of them away and to somebody who deserves it. So please, 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 all the details will be below, and you can get in touch with Ransom Publishers and order your copy online. So we wanted to do something that would assist them in pushing and promoting this book. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and we'll let you know more about when these brilliant, brilliant ideas for books and for reading become available as a prize. But anyway, Sandy from mcfcfantv, take care, and we're over to the vlog.